Hey everyone, thanks for your support in 2024. We have a lot of cool stuff coming in 2025, and here are some of the things you can look forward to as we move into next year. In the lead up to The Mandalorian and Grogu in 2026, we'll be starting a full series rewatch of both The Mandalorian and The Book of Boba Fett on exploring hyperspace lanes beginning in October. You can also expect a rewatch of Andor, and we will have reviews of every episode of Andor and the rest of the Skeleton Crew as those come out. Josie will be returning as we continue to rank every Star Wars thing released ever. Reviews of every episode of every Marvel Disney Plus show, including Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, The Eyes of Wakanda, Wonder Man, Ironheart, Daredevil Born Again, and Marvel Zombies, the day after each episode releases, will be available on Beware of Spoilers. We'll be having special event podcasts on 30-minute reviews for the Academy Awards, our 2024 year in review in early January, ranking all of Phase 5 of the MCU after Fantastic Four First Steps comes out, and our 10th anniversary special. Once we complete our rankings of all the Pokemon games on the backlog files, we'll be moving on to Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy. Over on the YouTube channel, you can join in for playthroughs of Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, Pokemon White, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts Recoded, Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, Sonic Adventure 2, LEGO Racers 2, LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, and SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. Want to keep on top of all the new things we have coming? Subscribe at mwpnews.com, subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/@mwpnews, or subscribe to Beware of Spoilers, 30-minute reviews, exploring hyperspace lanes, and the backlog files on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Again, thank you for your support. Good evening, and welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam. I just left an early screening of Black Bag, the new Steven Soderbergh movie, the second one to come out this year, actually, because I think Possessor he also directed, which was that movie where it's like a horror movie from the perspective of the ghost. It's a pretty cool idea. I didn't see it. I don't do horror movies. You know that by now if you're listening to this show. But what we have here is, I didn't have expectations for this movie. I don't want to say in any direction, because, like, it's just one of those, like, a spy thriller is, like, what the trailer kind of made it look like, with, like, a husband and wife, and it, like, is the wife involved, like, is the wife turning against the company, and then what's the husband gonna do? So I was like, alright, that could be kind of cool, but we'll see what it is, and you know, and we'll do that. Then I saw they had this early screening, and I was like, alright, let me go watch that one on Wednesday, and then Friday we'll do Novocaine. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised by this movie, because I think it works very well. I think the performances are all great, even though I did spend a good amount of time watching the movie trying to figure out where I'd seen all these people before. Like, Naomi Harris, obviously I've seen with Michael Fassbender, Cate Blanchette, all of them I'm familiar with. The guy who played Gravik in, what's it called? In, what the fuck was the name of that show? Oh, Secret Invasion. Like, I was like, okay, I know him. But then it was like, what about, like, the girl who's, like, the one who's dating the older guy? I was like, I've seen her somewhere. And then it clicks as I'm watching the credits. I'm like, oh, she played Amy Winehouse in the Amy Winehouse movie. What the movie basically is you have this thing that got stolen. It's a piece of technology that got stolen from this secret intelligence service thing. And it appears that if this thing is, whatever it is used, it'll cause thousands of people to be killed. So they gotta figure out who the traitor is and why. And on the list of people who could be the traitor is Michael Fassbender's wife. So the whole movie is them trying to figure out who the traitor is, who stole the thing, and why. I think there is a lot that really works about this movie, and it comes from the fact that I like all the dynamics between all the characters, and the fact that we don't get pigeonholed into watching one or two different characters interact with each other or anything like that. It is everyone all the time kind of dealing with each other. And I think that works very well for what this movie's trying to be. The way that they kind of set this movie up is they're all spies, so you really can't trust any of them. So what ends up happening is you don't know what's going on. My only criticism kind of comes from that same kind of vein, and it's the fact that, like, you've heard me make this complaint before. This is definitely the first time I've said it. I don't like it when movies and TV shows frame things to make characters look suspicious, or the other way around. They make them look not suspicious until it's revealed that they are someone who we should be suspicious of, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, here's them acting weird now all of a sudden. It's a big thing you would see. Like, the biggest example of that complaint for me was 24. Like, every season there's a fucking mole on 24, and it's like, they gotta figure out who the mole is. Then once they figure out who the mole is, then all of a sudden that character starts acting really fucking weird for no reason. Like, I think that this movie does it well, but I think that they overcorrect a little bit and have Cate Blanchette act a little too suspicious the entire way through. You could kind of chalk it up to we're being shown her from the perspective of her husband, but at the same time, I feel like there's definitely a There's definitely a There's definitely a disconnect a little bit. The score is fantastic. I love the score of this movie, and I think that they use it to such great effect that it is fantastic work. I didn't see through the credits because I really had to go to the bathroom, and ordinarily I would just get up and go when I have to go to the bathroom before the third act. But I was like, it's only an hour and a half, and I could probably make it the rest of the way. So I was like, all right, fine, I will just wait it out. And then the credits hit, and I was like, out of there. It is really... whoever did the score did a great job, and kudos to them, because it does a great job of helping to build the tension. And then it's not just the score, but also the silence. The movie plays with silence in interrogation scenes in a really interesting way. That really helps build the tension. What else have we got that I wanted to talk about with this? I don't want to spoil it. I know that goes against the name of the show, but I don't want to spoil, like, who the mole is or anything like that, because I feel like spoiling that will take something away from the movie, even though I think to an extent you can't really figure it out. Like, I figured it out toward the end, but that's when the movie wants you to figure it out. You're like, oh, okay, it's clearly this person. But I think that that's kind of the, I think that that's something that is part of the experience or something like this. It's the same thing where it's like when we did, what was that movie with Saoirse Ronan and Sam Rockwell? Catch Me If You Can? No. It was something with mice, I thought. But either way, it's like that, where it's like part of these kinds of movies is trying to figure it out for yourself as you go. I think the thing is, too, that makes this movie really work is that there's very little gunplay or explosion play or anything like that. It's just an espionage thriller. And all you're doing is dealing with people talking to each other and trying to figure out the truth and figure out what's happening. It's, you don't need big bombastic action. You don't need anything like that. As long as you have actors who can carry the movie and a narrative that I am willing to sit with you through as you go, and keep me interested, that's something that is interesting. And I think even the moral quandary when it comes to what the stolen thing is, which is Severus, is an interesting one. Because I'll tell you what Severus is, because I feel like that's something. So spoilers, if you want to go totally blind, cut off here. Go see this movie. That's my recommendation. And I saw it in Dolby. I think they do good things with the Dolby. For the first time in a long time, I think I've actually had the Dolby experience right. I would say probably since John Wick 2, or John Wick 4, would have been the last time that they had the Dolby kind of done right here. They do something cool with the seats being able to vibrate that you don't normally get. But either way, go see this movie. So for those of you who want to know, what Severus is it's this program that is designed to unseat. It's a destabilization technology where it is designed. You can implement it and execute it in Russia to cause a nuclear reactor meltdown. And the goal of this is the organization that created this, their goal is to destabilize Russia so that way the people turn against Moscow, they can unseat Putin and end the war in Ukraine. And what you have is two sides of this equation are where it's some people are like, well, we want to, we don't want to just do that. Like, that's not the right way to go about doing this because it's going to kill thousands of innocent people. Like, we don't want to do that. And then it's like people, there's the ends justify the means. Like, where it's like you gotta figure out, it's that philosophical question. It's like the war keeps going and people die that way, or we do this and people die this way. Which is the right way to do it? And that's the philosophical question is at the core of the movie. And I think they handle that pretty well. Maybe. Not really. They kind of back away from it and don't really deal with it as well as I would have liked. Is that if you're gonna posit such a heady thing where it's kind of like both are bad. Moving on, don't think about it too hard. But I enjoy, I think this is a very well-made movie. I expect, you can expect that from Steven Soderbergh. He does a great job every time. I really liked Kimmy, that Max movie he did a few years ago with Zoe Kravitz, where she's Naruto running around the city because she's, what's it called? What's the word I'm looking for here? Agoraphobic. Yeah, it's really, really good what he can do. And I think he does a great job with this movie. I think there's a chance this movie could end up on my top 10. I think there's a very strong chance it ends up in my top 5. I mean, between this and what was the last movie I saw last week that I was like, oh, that was really good. What did I see last week that I was thrilled with, even though my review didn't make it see? Oh, Mickey 17. It's kind of like, this movie is one that's going to make my top 5, I think, at the mid-year. Especially considering I don't think, looking at what's ahead, I've been looking kind of at, what's coming down the line in terms of movies coming out this year, and the reason why I'm hesitant to say it ends up in the top 10 is because we have a lot of really big directors who have big movies coming out. We have a new Wes Anderson movie coming out. We have a new Spike Lee movie coming out. We have Joachim Trier, who did The Worst Person in the World and that other one. It's like a trilogy of movies. He's got a new movie coming out. We have a new Noah Baumbach movie coming out. There are so many directors who have new... Joseph Kosinski. Nope, that's not it. Is it? The guy who did Top Gun Maverick. Am I mixing him up with the Unabomber? Either way, not the Unabomber. The other guy has... Ted Kosinski was the Unabomber. Joseph Kosinski is the guy who, if I'm pronouncing his last name right, who did Top Gun Maverick. He has a new movie coming out. There are a lot of really big directors who have good movies coming, who have, potentially good movies coming out this year. I don't think that it's safe to say this is going to end up in the top 10. I think there's a chance, because I don't know how good those are going to be, but I do know this was really good, really enjoyable. And the best thing about it, it's a tight hour and a half. We say it all the time, if you can keep your movies under 2 hours, that is fantastic. I love you for doing that. But you got to make it worth being under 2 hours. You got to tell that story tight. You got to keep it concise, and you got to keep everything, together. You can't just be and here's, there's nothing worse than a movie that's under 2 hours, and you're you could have spent a little more time and gotten it up to that 2-hour mark and told a little bit more story. It's like when we talked about Love Hurts earlier this year. Like, Love Hurts is serviceable. It is a perfectly fine movie. No, it's not as bad. I'm sorry, I'm mixing up stuff. Love Hurts was the one with Ke Huy Quan. That movie was not good. That's what it was. I'm very tired today. I apologize. There's the good, there's like the framework is there where this could have been a good movie, but it's just it didn't, in the execution it fell flat. Like, and you could have, with an extra 20 minutes, maybe gotten it over that hump. But they just didn't. And I think that's kind of the big mistake there. Here, the movie's an hour and a half, in and out. You've gotten the entire story across, and there's nothing where I'm like, I could have used more of any of it. Because I feel like they kind of nailed the length. Because if you went too much longer on too much more of this movie, you probably wouldn't have ended up with as good of a product. I don't think you needed any more than what we got. And I think that is a testament to the pacing, it's a testament to the script and all of that. Go see Black Bag. It's playing in theaters now. We'll wrap up there for today. Our next episode for a movie will definitively be on Friday when we talk about Novocaine, the new Jack Quaid action comedy, about the guy who can't feel pain, who's got to rescue his girlfriend. And then after that, there's one other, and then the next movie that I have definitively on the schedule is next Thursday. We will be talking about, what's it called? We'll be talking about Snow White. You may notice that I have not said we're going to talk about The Electric State, which is the new Russo brothers Netflix movie. With these big budget Netflix action movies, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice, shame on me again, fool me 3 times, continue to shame on me because apparently I'm a fucking idiot. But like, this is like the 4th or 5th that I'm like, alright, fuck this, I'm not doing this anymore, because it's like, I sat through The Gray Man, I sat through Heart of Stone, I sat through, what was that fucking awful one? It wasn't the Russo brothers. I know the Russos didn't do Heart of Stone. There was another Russo brother movie that I was like, no, that's not good either. I can't remember what it was. The Adam Project, which wasn't him, that was Sean Levy. That wasn't good. At a certain point, you gotta just be like, dude, what the fuck? Like, get a little bit of, like, love for yourself and like, don't sit through this. But whatever, it is what it is. Which is why we are not going to be covering The Electric State. Nothing about that movie seemed good. But, holding out hope that now they're back with Marvel, maybe they won't fuck up Doomsday. Who knows? We'll see. But we'll wrap up there for today. And until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.